Hi, my name is Hutch Crawford. I'm a senior cadet at the University of North Georgia. I'm an international affairs major with a concentration in East Asia, a Chinese flagship student, and in January 2016, I attended the International Cadet Conference at the National Defense Academy in Japan.
Hutch, can you tell us a little bit about why you pursued the opportunity to attend the conference?
At that time, I was a sophomore, and I had become an international affairs student the previous spring, and I was really loving my classes, enjoying them a lot, but I wanted to kind of get some real-life experience in international affairs. I was learning a lot about theory and about ways of looking at the world, but I wanted the chance to meet people from other countries and to start to discuss a lot of the ideas I had about the world and to challenge a lot of the assumptions I held. And to me, this was a great opportunity to start doing that and to do it in kind of a military kind of world and mindset.
Okay. Now, as attending a conference, is it required as an international affairs major or as a cadet?
It's not required. These conferences are for cadets, but they're competitive, so you're not necessarily going to get in or go to it, but basically at the beginning of each semester, the Center for Global Engagement will send out an email talking about different opportunities and conferences that are available, and as a cadet you can apply for those and participate in them if you're chosen.
Okay. So, like you said, CGE kind of sent the email out talking about the opportunity. Once you realized you had this interest and you heard about the opportunity, at that point, how did you pursue getting to go to the conference?
Right, so I sent an email back to the Center for Global Engagement letting them know my interest, and then from there it was just the next day I got an email back pointing me towards the portal that I needed to start working on where I would submit my application. And then I was able to use email as well to set up an interview with the Center for Global Engagement where they helped explain the different requirements there would be, and also helped me to prepare for the process of competing for this placement into this conference, and then after I was awarded the position to go to the conference, helping me prepare to go abroad.
Okay. Once you got all the paperwork done and you're ready to go, can you tell us about once you got there, how long you were there and what exactly you were doing at this conference?
Right, so the conference was, in total the trip was 10 days long. The conference was 7 days. But myself and a senior cadet, we got on a plane in Atlanta and flew to Tokyo, which was a long trip. But when we got there, the first day was just introductions and an introductory meeting. So we met our roommates, saw where we'd be staying, and kind of got the feel of what the conference was going to be about, met cadets from all over the world, and kind of had a little party that night to kick off the event. Then after that, for the next 4 or 5 days, we did individual meetings where each of us had prepared beforehand some presentations on a specific topic. In my case, it was cybersecurity, but then once we got into our meetings with our companies, which was about 200 Japanese cadets and then about 5 or 6 international students, each of the international students would give a presentation about the topic and the specific aspect of the topic, and then we would just start discussing it, deciding, how do we really see this issue and what are our differences and opinions about it and how we should solve the problems that we're facing with our country's security. And then after that, we would go to Chow, go eat lunch, and then we'd come back for another session. And then once those were complete, we'd have the evenings to do some cultural activities. They had a beautiful tea house on campus, so we got to see the Japanese traditional style of preparing tea. We saw a skit, it was called Kyogen, which means crazy voice, and it's this old style of drama in Japan. Also, we got to experience the traditional bathhouses in Japan, which was a really cool cultural activity. And just really, in general, building relationships with Japanese students and then also cadets from the other countries was just a really unique and special opportunity about this conference. Then following that, our day before last, we went to Tokyo with our classmates and fellow cadets and to kind of explore. We got to pick a couple big sites we wanted to go to, and we went in groups of about 5 or 10 and just hit the streets and got to see what Tokyo is really about and just to get a little taste of Japan and Japanese city life. Then that night we had a big going away party, and then the next day we got on the buses and rode back to Narita Airport, and it was just a really cool experience.
Okay. So you mentioned about spending a lot of time in meetings and discussion. Can you tell us about one of the things that you presented on, and then just the discussion around that with the fellow students, cadets?
Right. So the main title of the conference was really looking at globalization and basically the future of warfare and how countries are going to adopt different methods to solving really the future problems that we're facing. So just really a thinking exercise for us cadets. And then specifically in my conference, we discussed cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is really based around the increased interactions and the interconnectivity we have through the internet and through computers, but also the weaknesses that imposes, and how do countries and militaries prepare themselves to protect their citizens and their countries from those damages. I'm sure everyone's heard in the news a lot of problems about cybersecurity and the weaknesses there are, and it was a great opportunity to kind of see these other countries, what their perspectives were on this issue, and how we could work together to form solutions to these problems.
Okay. Can you tell me about, you mentioned, so what kept you busy during the day, and then some of the culture you got to experience once you were done with the discussion parts. What would you say was like your favorite part, whether it was in the discussions or just getting to learn more about the culture?
My favorite part was definitely the people I met and the relationships I built. Even now, one of my friends there, he was a freshman at the time, but he's currently studying abroad at West Point, and over Thanksgiving he's going to come visit me and stay at my house for a couple of days. And I still keep up with some of the friends, one of my friends from India and one of my friends from the UK, and it's just really cool to see that, for my future and really just in general, just my ability to understand the world. Having those connections has been great. Just in that I can get a different perspective. How many cadets in the U.S. get the chance to just Facebook message a friend from Japan and ask what was the impact of the recent earthquake, or how are you doing? How do you see this issue? That's just something that that you can't get anywhere else.
Okay. Can you? This just sounds like a great experience, and you learned a lot. Can you tell me how, attending the conference, just has impacted your academic goals and your future career goals?
Right. So, like I said, it was just a really great way to kind of get my feet wet in another culture, and to start understanding, the importance of that global perspective, and breaking down my own assumptions. And then, like I said, in terms of career goals, those connections and the information I have just from having friends in other countries and in other militaries is really vital, especially if I want to pursue a career in intelligence, or really any career in the IA in general. Being able to go to Japan and have someone to contact. I always have somebody, when I go there I can message a couple friends, and I always have somebody that maybe is free to go eat with me, or free to hang out, to go visit a different city or something like that. It just gives me it helps me feel a lot more secure and safe when I go there, and gives me some options, to start exploring the country and to further delve into the culture and operate over there, and hopefully one day work there.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Hutch.
Thank you.